Good afternoon to all. So in the next 10 minutes or so, I'll provide you with a high-level overview of how do we monitoring safety of COVID-19 vaccines. These are the main questions that will help me to provide that overview. Of course, for any more detailed questions, happy to take those during the Q&A session. And let me start by saying that COVID-19 vaccination campaign is by far the largest ever. And we have accumulated a huge amount of information, and we can say that the safety of COVID-19 vaccines is very reassuring. Let me start with a reminder as to why do we need to monitor the safety of vaccines or any other product for that matter in the post-authorization phase. As with any medicine, vaccines have benefits and risks, and during mass vaccination campaigns, issues may arise that have not been identified during clinical trials. This most relates to rare side effects for which we need a larger population of people vaccinated or exposed to a medicine. COVID-19 has been an unprecedented effort and amount of information and complexity, and we have ensured additional resources to be able to manage this effort. Now, main pillar of safety monitoring is review of suspected side effects. Those can be submitted by anyone and are collected in our database, which we call EudraVigilance. And I'll take that opportunity to thank everyone who took the effort to submit suspected side effects. You see the numbers to the right. It's a huge amount of information. For COVID-19, we've seen a reporting rates much higher than we've seen for other medicine. And that's largely likely due to all the efforts, the prominence of this topic, and all the efforts of people that have taken the time to submit. Now we'll talk a little bit more about those numbers in the next talk. This slide illustrates the magnitude of the vaccination campaign, both in terms of doses administered. So this is in the green bubbles for the 4 vaccines with which we have experience. Now we have a 5th vaccine authorized, but it's too early to display any numbers. And in red, you will see the number of suspected side effects that we have received in EudraVigilance as total and for the different vaccines. Now, it is critical to understand that suspected side effects do not mean that those have been caused by the vaccine. They occur in the period post-vaccination and can be triggered by many different factors. It could be medical conditions, other medications, etc. However, it's important that we collect that information and we use that wealth of information to monitor safety for any new potential safety issues. Now, let's move to the key question. Is the safety of COVID-19 vaccines still as reassuring as I said at the beginning? We have now over 860 million doses administered for the 4 COVID-19 vaccines. This is as of this month. This is an incredible amount of information, and clearly the benefits of these vaccines outweigh the risks. Now let's look at 2 examples of new safety issues identified in the post-authorization setting. Our pharmacovigilance system has been particularly efficient in detecting this important, very rare side effect, the unusual thrombosis with thrombocytopenia. And our evaluation started after the first reports we have received, the suspected side effects that I mentioned, which triggered a review by our safety committee. And in a very short period of time, we have managed the risk and we've communicated. Now, this issue was identified initially for Vaxzevria, and we've been also, as EU regulators, at the forefront of identifying the issue for the Janssen vaccine, which is a vaccine that uses the same platform. And we did that even before Janssen has come to be deployed in Europe. Now, at the bottom, just for completeness, we'll list the potential symptoms to be aware of related to these very rare side effects. And the effort to detect it early and to manage it and to communicate is illustrated by seeing a reduction of the severity of the outcome over time for these very rare side effects. Now, I'll give you one more example, and an important one, of a new risk identified post-authorization. Relates to, I think you're all well aware of the risk of myocarditis and pericarditis, specifically with mRNA vaccines. It is rare, predominantly occurring 14 days after vaccination, and more often after the second dose and in younger males. Now, when discussing the risks for any medicines, but on this occasion we are discussing COVID-19 vaccines, it's important to keep in mind the benefits, and also to acknowledge that rare side effects, so in this case myocarditis, pericarditis, can be caused by any other conditions. Viral infection can cause myocarditis. COVID-19 causes as well myocarditis and pericarditis, so that's another thing to keep in mind when we look at the totality of the information. Now, how do we as regulators continuously monitor the benefit and risk of vaccines? We perform scientific assessment of suspected side effects, putting those in the context of the person's individual case to determine if they might have been caused by the vaccine or could have occurred for a different reason. Side effects are assessed in the context of all available information. So these are not only the suspected side effects we have in EudraVigilance, but also relevant information from clinical trials, post-authorization pharmacoepidemiological studies, and anything else reported in the medical literature. So we will take that information together and consider all relevant aspects. What outcomes can this evidence-based evaluation lead to? We can impose restrictions of the use of a medication or a vaccine. We can have contraindications or add warnings with some risk minimization measures. And if the risks outweigh the benefit, the vaccine can be removed from the market. So moving on, as Maria-Agnes said, we have unfortunately seen a lot of misinformation when it comes to COVID-19 vaccines. We've seen our logo beam is appropriated, displaying erroneous information, and the talk after mine will focus to guide you through where to find the relevant information. But some sources of information on our website, where we have the medicines overview, addressing questions and answers in lay language, and this is available in all European languages. We have the risk management plans, which indicates how safety information is collected and what studies are planned to further monitor the safety of COVID-19 vaccines. And we have, of course, the recommendations and precautions to be followed by healthcare professionals and patients. We also have safety updates, which we publish on a monthly basis, which would give you all the new safety information that might have been identified in that period, and also provides a helpful background and context information. So there it could be promptly informed if there's any new issues arising. We have the highlights from PRAC. PRAC is our safety committee, which are published the day after the committee concludes its evaluation. And you will certainly find their information if there is anything new with regards to safety on COVID-19 vaccines. Now, an overview as well of the, I mentioned 5 vaccines that you can see to the right. That's again on our website, and you can also be informed on any of the ongoing evaluations. So you see the list of rolling reviews, and if there is any marketing authorization applications under finalization. So moving to my concluding slides, as I said, by far the largest vaccination campaign with a wealth of information collected. We have learned a lot over the last year, and importantly, the safety profile of COVID-19 vaccines remains very reassuring. We have a strong pharmacovigilance system in place, and safety is and will remain our priority. Unprecedented efforts have been made not only by regulators, but all other stakeholders, including yourself, to manage the safety information. And we had some rare side effects, new side effects identified, and those have been promptly communicated. We have enhanced tools for safety monitoring and well-established frameworks to communicate, and a very strong international collaboration. I have to say, I mentioned that the data we use for evaluation from our database, but we also collaborate very closely with other regulators, and we would consider any evaluations or any data that might have been gathered in different jurisdictions, and that has been extremely helpful. COVID-19 vaccine safety is stronger with your participation. A call for reporting side effects, and in your case, call for helping us to lead people to the right sources of information. And my last concluding slide, misinformation clearly has serious consequences, and linked to reliable sources of information. It's critical. We are committed to provide transparent access to clinical trial data and any new other emerging information. Engagement, we believe it's critical, and I think this event illustrates it very clearly. And after the last thing I'll say is the fact checkers articles that I came across, I found extremely helpful, and with that I would really like to thank you for the support. And I'll stop here. Thank you very much for your time.